where I live at age 21. So I was the youngest elected official ever. So I went to Oneida High School, then I went out to Springfield College in Massachusetts for college. Played football there, got my degree, and then I came back home. I am an upstate New Yorker. My whole life is upstate New York. And I won't forget about that when we win selection. I worked in corrections. I did 22 years with Syracuse PD. I started out in patrol on midnights, investigations. I led the SWAT team for 20 years. I worked in the gang unit. We would go after the gangs for the RICO statutes. I was deputized by the U.S. Marshals for the New York, New Jersey Fugitives Task Force. So I was all up and down the East Coast serving warrants and searching for people that had federal warrants. When I left Syracuse, I went and worked for the District Attorney's Office in Onondaga County, basically prepping cases to go to homicide trials to go to court. So if we had 40 cases, 20 would plea out. I was part of the team that would get coupled up with a prosecutor, and we would get all the evidence to go to trial. So it taught me a lot about the whole process, not just the law enforcement process. And I have 35 years on the job total. I got elected in 2017. I'm in my third term. One of my best things that I've done since I've been in office, in my correctional facility, I have Sunday morning services in there. I have almost, I think it's 100% with the females for attending the services, and I'm doing okay with the males, doing about 50%. And I totally give them a donut if they go to church on Sunday. But it helps. It's helping. They get in there, they hear the gospel, and some of them show up. I invite them all to come to our church service where we go, and some are showing up, so I'm going to keep plugging away at that. I feel it's one of the reasons why, the reason why we were placed on this earth, to all go together in the end. So that's a little bit about me. I've seen all these changes in laws, the HALT Act, bail reform, all these things you hear about. So a lot of people don't even know what bail reform is. They think it's just letting people go. It's true. So we're mandated to give people appearance tickets for some serious crimes, right? Before, we could say, as a police, we had a thing called discretion, which they took away from us. If you got an appearance ticket, you could go to court. If you were misbehaving or some other bad behavior, we had the authority to bring you to the judge and get you locked up with bail. And they took away all of that in New York State, where we're mandated to give them appearance tickets. So by the time they're court ready, 6 months later, they've reoffended 10 times. So you can spread, that's the problem, and it's repeat, offend, not get locked up, get your appearance ticket and get let back out and do it again. And that needs to stop in New York State. The HALT Act, right? They have these special units in prison where, like when your kid was being bad when they were little, you send them to their room, get yourself under control. No different than prison. You're out of control. You need to go to this special unit. It's not a dungeon. It's not solitary confinement. It's a special housing unit, which people don't understand that with this legislation. So now these corrections officers are fighting these people all day long. Frustration levels are off the charts. And tragedy happens, like what happened in New York. So we're going to, one of the reasons why Bruce brought me on is for all these problems, for safety in New York State. We're going to be on top of it when we get in there. Whether it be by the power of veto or executive order for public safety, we're going to do whatever we can to fix these problems in our state. I just want to get out. Bruce covered everything. I love going after him because he hits all the things that we're going to do in the campaign. So I saw some people had some questions, and if you guys have anything for me, you guys were the first ones. Go ahead, and I'll take you right after.
Okay. Well, definitely we need to educate people as to who you are. But there's a thought that people do not register to vote because they don't want their information known. One of the major reasons why people don't vote is there's a literacy problem in New York. They're overwhelmed by the ballot. They're unfamiliar with the ballot. They're unfamiliar with how to handle the election machine. And if you want to do anything about getting people out in all of our local districts, etc., we should be doing what we did years ago in schools by bringing in the election booths, introducing the individuals to the ballots, them how to use the election machine.
Love it. So my wife was the elections commissioner in our county. She's retired for the Republican Party.
The other thing I want to say is that I hope you're going to every county to meet with Farm Bureau, because the landowners of the state, majority of them are farmers, and the farmers are at risk as for what's being done by Kathy Hochul, right?
Yeah.
All right, and the third thing I want to say is I hope at some point on Mr. Blakeman's list of who he's going to address, I hope he addresses the corrections officers who have been punitively handled by Kathy Hochul in the North Country. Those are my speakers.
Okay, thank you. So again, I was just gonna, I just have one more thing to add. Okay, I'm gonna go through everybody. Yeah, I'll get everybody in here that has a question. So, one of the main things with elections now, the Democrats they're going and registering to the Board of Elections. You can go to register, you get an application at the Board of Elections. Are you in voting or no? Okay. So you can bring that person, if you have somebody that doesn't show up to vote, they will mail you the ballot to your house with a self-addressed stamped envelope. And we don't need to hear, oh, I'm not gonna do that, that's what they do. We need to do it to keep up to win this election. So you can do that, they'll ship it right to your house with a stamp-addressed envelope back, so you don't even have to leave your house. So I encourage you guys to go to your local Board of Elections at the county and sign up for that also. You were next.
I'm with the Second Amendment radio show on WYSL, and we got a call about 2 years ago now from a gentleman down in Ulster County who got caught up in a scam with the pistol permit recertification program. They are pulling permits, revoking them if you miss the 3-year time limit. It started out, a woman went to add a gun to her permit. She had a 5-year certification with her, but they said you can't do it, you missed it 3 years. Of course, nobody was told to have changed it 3 years. So is there anything we can do short of getting tied up in court for another 4 or 5 years? He's been in court 2 years now. This was a law enforcement, he was an armed security guard.
Yeah.
They took his service pistol because he was co-registered with his wife.
I haven't heard of any enforcement. Last time I called Albany for that, they didn't even have the people to enforce the registration process.
Well, it's a mess.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any activity. This is the first time I've heard of any activity from that enforcement part.
Well, we ran out of time when we had the understanding. I didn't get to that question. It's a test case, basically, and it comes down to a lawsuit, but you could look into it.
I'm gonna call Albany Monday morning, yeah, I'll call out there. I deal with them frequently because a lot of people don't know how to sign up again. So I give them a little app where they do it when they get there, so I'll check it out.
The system does not work with Android devices either, I found that out. And just one more point, if I could. We knew from the beginning they were gonna recognize this, and these gun laws are not thought up by Kathy Hochul or anybody else.
We don't need any more gun laws in New York State. We need to start getting rid of some of them,
Every town
absolutely.
for gun safety has to be
It's
looked
nuts.
into, because they are bringing, their lawyers are defending these laws.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we'll make another gun law that's gonna fix everything, yeah.
Todd,
We already got a gun
Well,
law.
they want.
Todd, I'd like to ask you a specific question on the Second Amendment. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask this question. Are you for or against banning AR-15s and high-capacity magazines?
I'm against it, yeah. People should have the right to have as many rounds as they need, you know?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, we have a very large outfit, and they are just starting to grow. And one of the things that they're being attacked on, and they don't realize, is the governor's quarantine and her forcing vaccination.
Yeah.
And if you were out there informing them that they would get out and vote.
I know. We've had this conversation in my county. I have 640 dairy farms in Madison County. We have a large population, and my wife is all over them all the time. You know, they put a roof on it. She's like, you guys have to vote. And, you know, whatever we can do to make that happen, it's definitely a great idea. They have their beliefs too. Who else? Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, you're from police, so I'm
retired after half an hour.
Well, thank you for your service.
18 different prisons in North Dakota. I traveled New York. But what are you gonna do for y'all?
Mike, can you speak up, Mike?
Okay, you got 2,000 officers that she let go, and then she tried to stop them from getting jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do about this? You got people out there, and they're still working 12 hours. a
Yeah,
day.
so I hired about 8 of them in my small jail in Madison County, corrections officers that came in. Well, yeah, we can definitely look back in, what they did to them was a tragedy to
Where
those
did the
corrections
whole
officers.
act come from? I didn't hear very until you say.
It's all legislation when people are sleeping, and they put this stuff through, and we have the majority, the supermajority, and Assembly and Senate, so we have to stay on top of this stuff, or that's what happens.
They went on strike. I used to be in Pat Martin in Collins, and I got interviewed. I talked about her, I talked about the senator and all that. The union, I don't know where they went. I went on strike in 79.
Right.
So far back. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, we're all about empowering law enforcement and corrections officers and fixing the mess that she created. A couple months ago, we still had 5,000 of their inmates. The county sheriffs are the ones that bailed the state out on that deal. We took all those inmates into our county jails. Most people don't realize that.
I retired in 04, there was 73 prisons, now it's less than 40.
Yeah.
Where are they putting these? 2 days ago, we had officers in America, so.
Let them go. They've taken all the teeth away from parole. State parole, you talk to them, they're toothless, right? They can do violations, but it's a lot less than they can. And it's the same thing with raise the age. Well, you can't put 16 and 17-year-olds in jail, and we don't have any beds across New York State, so we'll just let you back out on the street. I had a deal in my county where children, ages 10 to 15, 5 of them stole a car out of Syracuse, drove it to my county. One of them was so little they slid through the bars in the gun shop with a backpack, took 36 guns, went back to Syracuse. I did a search warrant in Syracuse while I was the Madison County Sheriff the next morning. Every one of the guns was back on the street, and every one of the kids walked out of the juvenile courtroom the next day. Yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah.
And also,
We're gonna fix it.
assaulted Addington 3 days ago. 6 officers were assaulted. Where is it in the news?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, we had 3 officers in Mohawk, and they opened an envelope with
I saw that,
there.
yeah.
They were in ICU, not a message, not a
And Bruce's top priority, he hired 600 new police and corrections officers in his county, a total of 600 employees, and never raised taxes $1. His predecessor had $150 million that they were going to put towards some cause that wasn't worthy. Bruce is like, you're not going to spend it on that. We're going to do it on this. So he's the man for the job. He gets stuff done. What else we got? What do you got?
I don't really have a question, but I have a statement for the gentleman over here, and it's information for everybody. I believe you can go to your county clerk to re-register for your handgun, for your concealed carry. You don't have to do it online, so if somebody's having trouble, go to the county clerk. You will also print out a receipt that has the date when you have to renew again. So there's your reminder. That way, it'll be better equipped.
Thank you. So how that works is some of the counties do have the clerk, some have the sheriff. Mine's the sheriff. But yeah, the court has already ruled. They can't tell you your hunting and fishing permit. Y'all have concealed carry if you have your pistol permit. You can just go to your pistol permit or your clerk and get that changed now. I tell a lot of my people, they got their permit back in the 80s where the judge said, oh, you're only allowed to do it for home protection or, hunting. So, go ahead.
My nephew was one of the correction officers that were fired by Captain Hogan. And after the thing was kind of settled, I asked him, I said, are you going to try and get your job back? And he said, no. He said, conditions are so bad in the state prisons that he can't defend himself and may wind up getting hurt all the time. So he's staying out of corrections for the rest of his life. Thank you.
I intended this for Mr. Blakeman. Situation was, Buffalo, New York, guy walks in the tops, everybody knows this. shoots the place to pieces, kills everybody. First thing Candidatee Hochul does, run around like Chicken Little, it's the gun, it's the gun. When you look at it, kids from Binghamton, family court, city court, criminal court, mental health, everybody knew about this guy. He'd been in trouble up in Buffalo. They all knew about him. Not one of them did their job, meet their responsibility, put on a no buy or a no sell statement under the red flag laws. My question is this: not one of those officials who didn't meet their obligations, who didn't meet their oath of office, who disciplined, a letter of reprimand, removed, anything. Are you two prepared to go after officials like this, especially now that we have a new mayor in Rochester and a new mayor in Buffalo have already said they're not going to work with ICE?
So I wish she came today. Saritha is the one that's running alongside with us for the the Attorney General of New York State. She's amazing. She's a Harvard grad. And one of her things is she wants to go in and fix the process, like you just said, the institutions that are failing, going after. And she even talks about homelessness, how the shelters are failing because they're not being regulated and people aren't doing their job and they're not safe and they're physically not good places to go to. So, she's big on that, and I think that's one of the things. It's all about accountability, and I think we can all agree that we've lost accountability in New York State, right?
Right.
Yeah, with our legal system, with a lot of the things like you just described, and we're going to get it back. We're going to get it back. It's going to take time, but we're going to get it back. Go ahead, sir.
I'm just curious about the handgun re-registration. My permit originally was no expiration. Then went to 5 years, now 3 years. God knows what it's going to be on the first. Is he going to do anything about that to put it back to me? Why would I re-register the same gun? I did a crime with it.
Right.
They're going to know anyway.
And he talked about the committee that we're going to have, and I'm sure you guys are all going to get reached out for it. We'll take a look at everything and see what we can fix when we're in there. Because there's so many years in this government that we've been through, right? I remember 2018 going into 19 when all this legislation came out. They're just going after cops and Board of Elections, voting and police officers and corrections officers across our state. It was relentless. And look how everything changed so bad during that period of time. My career wasn't that bad in Syracuse. And then I came, one of my sons, the 30-year-old, experienced it and then it changed. And my 28-year-old was in the middle, so he doesn't know any better about letting the people go. So it's just amazing how quickly we forget. We're going to try to get some accountability back in New York State. Go ahead.
I had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Hood and his wife, and listening to Mr. Blakeman this morning and meeting this gentleman, I think we've got some first-class candidates that we can elect for governor of New York State. Here's my question to you. You spoke about, I think our biggest challenge is not the message. You've got a fantastic message you can bring to New Yorkers. The challenge is getting name recognition and getting the voice out. Can you share with us what's to come, please?
Yeah, it's getting the vote. So we are going to ramp up. He's out raising money right now, and the money that's spent on these things with the commercials, people have to know who Bruce is, right? They have to be able to put the face to it. They have to have seen him, seen what he stands for. So that's going to be coming in the future. They've already said we're only in the third month here, going through towards November. So you're going to see a lot more towards the end. And whatever you guys can do, where we believe, we're all like-minded in this room. Every person in here desperately wants change. I want my grandkids to stay in New York with me, and we're all on the same page. It's the execution of this election and how we can generate and get people out to vote this year.
Hey, Todd, we've got a question over here.
Yes.
So it's a follow-up on the red flag. As you're probably aware, if a person is accused of a crime, whether they be innocent or whether they be very, very guilty, if they can afford an attorney, they get an attorney. As you probably also, you may or may not know this, but if a person is going to lose custody of their kid and they can't afford an attorney, they get an attorney. So if a person's going to lose their guns because of a red flag, should they not also get an attorney?
Yeah, I think there's always we always have somebody with any criminal charge that comes into our county jail. They get assigned counsel like anybody else, and that's our country. Yeah, you should have an attorney.
Let's take a couple more questions.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm retired law enforcement also. We qualify law enforcement in HR 218, the OSMA, right? We're pushing that big time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys retire, they don't want to carry the gun anymore, and, that's one thing. But with you and Bruce getting in, okay, Democratic Assembly, Democratic Senator, how hard is it to go after the SAFE Act?
So Bruce is an excellent at negotiations, and that's how it's going to have to be done. A lot of this stuff, you hit the nail right on the head. A lot of this stuff was voted in. So if it's not an executive order where there's public safety, or the legislation's coming in where Bruce can be like, veto, no, then it's going to be something that we're going to have to take a look at and start negotiation. And if you want something and you're willing to give something up to get it, that's where it comes in. But there's none of that now. If we take those two top positions, we'll have it. We'll have something to slow it down. We're like, no, it's not going through right now. You're going to have to wait because the governor just vetoed your stuff. So if you want to start working on that, let's have a meeting. And we'll try to find some place in the middle. As much as we all want to draw the hard line, we do have to negotiate it. It is government, and we're behind in the state, But that's why these two positions are so critical. Go ahead, sir.
Aren't any firearm restrictions, federal or state, an infringement of the Second Amendment?
I gotta say the first part about it again. What you said.
Aren't any firearm restrictions, regulations, registrations, an infringement of the Second Amendment?
You said are.
Aren't, I said.
They all are.
Yes, they are.
You look.
I might be confused with your question. I'm sorry.
You give a little rope and they take the whole.
Right. And I'm totally on board with your rights. I'll just simplify it that way. Whatever we need to do, I said already, we have enough gun laws. We have enough laws in this state. It's crazy, the laws that they make. And the Ten Commandments pretty much cover anything, I think. I get it. But, right? We have to go back. These laws that they're making don't help anybody. So somebody can get their name on legislation.
Let me rephrase my question. Shouldn't the only gun law in America be the Second Amendment?
Yeah, I totally agree with the Second Amendment and everybody having the right to bear. I appreciate all that you do.
I appreciate you too, brother.
I follow you on Facebook.
As we saw with Zeldin's campaign, and as we've seen with a lot of campaigns over the last couple of years, two things have been neglected. One, the youth vote, and two, the get out to vote effort. So we need to focus on the youth vote and the get out to vote effort. Is there any plan, as Blakeman is raising money, to do a strategic, focused, get out to vote action? And if not, can you work with him to get a committee together to do exactly that? Because the counties themselves need to orchestrate with his campaign.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea from you. Thank you very much, and that's something that we need to do. And that's what you've seen down in New York City with the mayor down there. He has all these young females that are buying into what he's in, and he keeps gaining it. So yeah, we have to do the same thing on our side as far as getting the 18-year-olds and above out to vote. It's a great idea.
Todd, Todd,
yes.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
So Steve Leonard, would you stand up, please? So Steve Leonard, you're going to hear in the board of directors meeting, and you all are invited to stay for the board of directors meeting from 1 to 3. I plan usually 2-hour meetings, but I think this one will go 3. But Steve Leonard has come up with a great social media plan that he's going to brief in the afternoon up front, early part of the meeting, to talk just about what you and Todd Hood are talking about is how to get out the vote. So Steve, want to add a few things to that?
Thanks, John. So this all came about back in February in Glen County. We were having a brainstorming session about what we can do to get out the vote. We know gun owners don't show up at the polls for all the reasons that were discussed this morning. So we had a brainstorming session, and we said, you know what? We have to take this to a much bigger level. So I got together with Jack and John and Tom Reynolds and a few other of the committee members, and I said, look, I facilitated strategic workshops for a living. I'm willing to take my expertise and bring this to scope. And we had a strategic planning session last Saturday. Right? We put together what I think is a great plan, which is the ability to communicate what scope stands for to a much larger audience and use the current technologies that exist to amplify the message and get those voters informed, educated, passionate, and get them to the polls. So we're going to be pitching the recommendations that we came up with last weekend here this afternoon to the board of directors, and we're looking forward to going through that with you. So thank you.
Thank you. That's good.
And so all of you are invited to attend the board of directors meeting. I don't know if you can sit for another 3 hours, but maybe you can. You just can't vote, and there will be some voting actions, but you are more than welcome to stay for Steve's brief, because he's put a lot of time and energy into it, and I think you'll learn some very interesting facts about what happened in the 2022 gubernatorial election with Lee Zeldin.
Okay. Go ahead. Tell me when it's time for me to get off.
How about 1 or 2 more?
Okay, 2 more. Go ahead, sir.
First of all, thank you for bringing faith into the jail. A trustee at our local church, that's a great thing you're doing. Second of all, I'm a past president of a gun club. I'm also a coach on our high school trap team. One of the things we need to do is get to the young kids. We started with 6 kids about 8 years ago. We've got 25 now. We've got all volunteers. An opportunity for you is in Syracuse, first week in June, is the high school shoot-off. There'll be 1,800 kids there and families. Last year, there were no politicians there. There was one state chief. That was it. It's a very family-oriented organization. There's 3 days there. You need a presence there. Lots of opportunity to spread the word.
Is that the one in Bridgeport?
That's the one in Bridgeport.
Yep, close. It's within 20 minutes of my house.
Yep, and if you can't get a booth, Marcellus draft team, Mr. Blake was just in Marcellus.
Yep.
You can stand in our booth.
Okay. Yep. Make sure I get the invite for that.
I will. I'll send it in
Okay.
your.
Madison County Sheriff Todd, but you'll find the email.
Okay, great. I'll get you the information. Thank you.
I'm Ron Allen. I'm the chairman of the Sonoma County Club. We're a Louisville chapter. When at our inaugural meeting we had back last year, we had our state senator there, and Tom Mara, he made a suggestion. He told us that if we could flip 12 seats in the Senate to a Republican, they would control that. And I noticed in this particular meeting here, neither you nor Bruce have mentioned one thing that I wonder if this would be a good suggestion. When you're at these meetings, in planning board, would it make sense for you to research and say, okay, who is the Republican or more conservative candidate for assembly or senate in the meeting you're going to, and get that name out there too. Mention those people, even if they're not at your meeting, in order to be able to bring forth more candidates that are Republican, conservative in nature, so that people know it's not just the governor, it's not just the lieutenant governor, but it is the Senate and Assembly candidates as well. Would that make sense for you guys to be able to at least come up with the names of the ones at the meeting you're at? To be able to say, hey, don't forget about your local representatives as well. I mean, it might be a good idea, but it might be totally away from what you guys do.
Yeah, that's called good old-fashioned teamwork. It's a Republican Party getting together. Thank you. Yeah, great idea. Thank you so much for having me. I tell everybody, you want to do something, you can give to the campaign. Do me a favor. Once a week, say a prayer for us.
Sir.
Up through November.
Sir.
To put us there. Yes, sir.
I would like to make a statement. The best thing we can do is to pass on to our grandkids and our kids membership. Pass on the membership to SCOPE, because at some point in time, they will appreciate that. So that's a wonderful thing we can do for the organization and for our children and our grandkids. So please do that.
Thank you.
Thank you all.